Welcome to EmpowerME Podcast, empowering talented individuals since 2020. EmpowerMe is designed with you in mind, your goals, your challenges, your opportunities to grow and to prosper, all for you. We bring the topics in discussion, and you bring the desire and commitment to succeed. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the EmpowerMe Podcast series. This is a special add-on episode based again on random conversations that I'm privileged to have with leaders here in our building. And today was no exception. I had an opportunity to sit with a leader that wanted to start talking about their career and what their next step was. And as a result of that conversation, I really became inspired to pull together some thoughts and share some time with you. So my name is Red Sharples. I am the EmpowerMe Podcast thought provoker. I used that on my last podcast episode. But I'm really excited to kind of spend a few extra minutes with you today. So let's go into the past. Let's talk about this conversation. So I'm sitting with a leader, incredibly intelligent individual, very high capacity, the capability score on this person is also just really fantastic, but has been kind of in their position for some time and has really kind of achieved a level of performance that allows them a modicum of success and some, also some anonymity, but they were a little dissatisfied, and so they had come to talk to me, and as I was kind of just, getting the context of what brought them here, what's the motivating factor that said that now's the time to change, and honestly too, well, all right, if you want to change, what is those first couple of steps that you're taking on? And this is where the conversation got interesting, because what the person shared with me was, well, I'm speaking with my man, hey Red, I'm speaking with my manager, and I've asked for them to find some opportunities for me in which I can really through the experience, learn and grow, to increase my knowledge base and my experiential knowledge. And through that, I'm looking to really kind of make my mark. And I found that to be kind of an intriguing piece. So this entire next step in this person's career was really predicated on something that their manager would have to create and engineer and implement. And I felt like, I feel like we're missing something there. And this is where I started to realize this is something that needs to be talked about on a larger scale than just, this one particular conversation with this one amazing individual. But really where we went was, where is your push coming from, right? And let's just be frank, reaching out to someone else to create something for you, while in one sense does create an opportunity for you, it does very little in allowing you to stand out and shine, because now you're simply executing to someone else's engineered opportunity. So where do you stand out? Where do you show up? That became the basis of our conversation, and I think it's just such a wonderful place for anyone who's working through their career and working through building their brand and working through mapping out their career journey, is that while there are wonderful opportunities out there that have been engineered and built and constructed for us to raise our hands, get selected, and work through and learn through experience, the true measure of your success will come from the spaces in between. Where do you show up in the job that you have today, in the role that you execute today? And you have to start to consider looking at that very thing. Where do I show up? When I walk into a room, what do I do? How do I engage my peers? If I'm part of a meeting, what questions am I asking? Are they well thought out? Do they move the conversation forward? Do they help in their critique stop the project from, an errant direction? When I work with my peers, do I appraise, analyze, support, encourage, and invest without being told? where do I show up? And again, in this conversation, I think it was really the first time that this leader had given themselves time to pause and reflect. And I just felt like this is great that we're talking about this, but this is also a miss for us here in where we work. And honestly, if I take accountability in the role that I provide, which is leadership development, is to help folks understand that your greatest growth and your greatest opportunity to be noticed is by looking from within. Where are you at today? What are you expected to do? And then how do you approach it? How do you attack it? How do you hold yourself accountable? We talk about high standards in the EmpowerME program. Well, high standards should be the impetus to have you act. Should always lead to an action item. So where do you show up? And I'll just keep saying that. I think it's something that we have to ask ourselves. We have to explore. And I'll tell you, you solve that riddle. You find out, hey, I can show up here. I can be a more active player in my community. I can voluntarily take on some responsibilities. I can use my creative genius to problem solve. Then you get noticed. Then you get selected for whatever engineered, created development program. It works, more than likely it works in that order. So chew on that. Chew on that for a little bit. This is an added on episode in our EmpowerME series, and I just felt really so motivated to kind of speak my mind on that based on that amazing conversation. But I would really love to know, does this speak to you? Does this answer questions? Does this create more questions? And I'd ask you to consider, you can do a couple of things. You can go to the EmpowerME Slack group that we have. You can reach out to me directly. Y'all know Red, right? Come reach out to Red. Or use our comment section and let's start a conversation, right? Let me tell me what you think. Tell me how you plan to move forward. Tell me if this makes sense to you, but the next step seems to be a little gray. Let's have a conversation. I look forward to it. And that's going to wrap up our time today. I want to end on that. Again, and I want to tell you something. In this world, there's a lot to be done. And the worst thing that can happen is that you just stop moving. So I always ask you to keep moving, keep pushing forward, and always remember that we believe in you. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast from the EmpowerMe team. If so, please like and provide comments with any feedback you'd like to share regarding your take on the subject. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Oaktown EmpowerMe channel today. Thanks for joining us, and check back in the future for discussions regarding your growth and development.